얼마?
Pedro Almodovar and Antonio Banderas reunite in this mad scientist film. I see, this is a mad scientist film, hence my top 5 coming up. Yes, The Skin I Live In is in fact a mad scientist movie. Plain and simple, it's actually a modern-day Frankenstein movie. The creator and the creation, and how the creation brings down the creator. It's a really bizarre movie. This is unlike anything Almodovar has done in his past. His recent works were Revolver and Broken Embraces, two incredibly powerful romantic films. And this movie in particular is something completely different. There is really no charm in this movie that made those films so memorable. This is a movie that's embraces its dark side to the highest extent. Antonio Banderas, may I say, he gives one of the best performances in this movie. I haven't seen him this good in a long time, to be quite honest. Probably since the Desperado films, but again, those are different types of movies, and it's just my opinion. But he really is a creepy character in this movie. Almodovar and Banderas have created something quite disturbing. It's kind of hard to explain this movie because the first hour of the movie is about he's a plastic surgeon who has developed a synthetic skin that can withstand any damage, including mosquito bites, and that seems to be a big thing in the medical community. And he uses the synthetic skin on this woman whose name is Vera, and he locks her up in his home and has her under surveillance, and she's wearing these skin-tight leotard suit to protect her skin, and she does very strange, exotic artworks in her room since she can't go anywhere else. Banderas' character, Dr. Robert Lidgard, performs these tests on her, checking the skin, and he keeps emphasizing how soft her skin is. He never expected how soft her skin is. And how the movie makes her look, she almost kind of looks like a doll. And in a way, that's what she is. She's a doll to Dr. Lidgard. Once their past, both Vera and Dr. Lidgard's past, are revealed in the second half of the film, that's when things take a really, psychosexual turn, if you will. It really goes on the deep end of becoming an indie ick fest, if you will. And I saw this film at the FAU Living Room Theater, and that theater is notorious for having a lot of retirees in the audience. And I've said this before in a past review of mine, that they just don't stop talking and complaining about the movie. And here they do have a feasible reason to complain about this movie. I myself was not expecting this movie to be what it was, but you should still keep your trap shut. Still, the movie is... Oh God, I don't want to spoil it because the second half, that's when the big twist comes, and it's just a whole hour of that twist unfolding and bringing us back into the present. And you might have a feeling where this movie might be going, but it is... something you have to go see. If it's playing in your area, you have to see it. Or it'll be on DVD and Blu-ray soon, I'm sure. But you have to see this movie. It's another Oscar contender, probably for Best Foreign Film, and I'm really hoping that the Academy will recognize Antonio Banderas for a Best Actor Role Performance Award, if you will, which would be cool, having two foreign actors, I mentioned Gerard Dujardin and Antonio Banderas, going against each other for the Oscar. I just think that'd be kind of cool, having two foreign actors instead of just having regular Hollywood A-list actors. Don't get me wrong, I like George Clooney and Brad Pitt and all those guys, but I like to see the underdog take it for once.
It's alive! Oh, it's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
I wanted to try to come up with a top 5 countdown that would coincide with this show. I was probably going to do a top 5 foreign film countdown, but then I thought that was a little too traditional. I was thinking about doing a top 5 silent films, but then again, I always play clips in between my discussions, and you're not going to really hear anything except music. But I wanted to do something a little bit different. And being that The Skin I Live In was probably one movie I was not expecting it to be, and that was in fact a mad scientist film, I'd like to do my top 5 countdown to the best mad scientists in film. So let us begin with the top 5 countdown. At number 5, it's going to be... Again, it's a recent movie, and don't hold this against me, but this was a great character, and it was Sebastian Shaw from X-Men First Class.
My name's Sebastian Shaw, and I am not here to hurt you. Friends, there's a revolution coming when mankind discovers who we are, what we can do. Each of us will face a choice: be enslaved or rise up to rule. Choose freely, but know that if you are not with us, then by definition you are against us. So, you can stay, fight for the people who hate and fear you, or you can join me and live like kings.
Sebastian Shaw is a villain, a mutant villain in X-Men who wants to destroy humankind and embrace nuclear war by creating a race of mutants caused by nuclear chaos. And I mean, that is a great mad scientist ploy. But what made him such a creepier mad scientist was in the beginning as a Nazi German scientist experimenting on Erich Lenscher, who turns into Magneto. And in a way, this movie is also a Frankenstein tale where Eric says that to the people he's interrogating, trying to find Shaw for revenge, he says, "I'm Frankenstein's monster and I've come looking for my creator." And it's a really interesting side of the creature having his feelings. So I thought that was embraced very nicely for the movie. At number 4, I'd feel kind of ashamed if I didn't put this on the list. You won't find Dr. Frankenstein on this list, by the way. This, if anything, I'll call this the Dr. Frankenstein Memorial List, because that just seems too easy of a choice. But that doesn't mean we can't choose his great-grandson, Dr. Frederick Frankenstein, and Mel Brooks' Young Frankenstein.
Be of good cheer. If science teaches us anything, it teaches us to accept our failures as well as our successes with quiet, dignity, and grace. Son of a bitch bastard, I'll get you for this! What did you do to me? What did you do to me? Stop it! You kill him!
I mean, come on, it's Gene Wilder. He is like the perfect candidate to be a mad scientist. He has the crazy hair, and he screams a lot, and he has all kinds of weird things to say. I mean, his performance was, it was beyond silly, and was also probably one of his most memorable roles next to Willy Wonka. So for that, I salute you, Mr. Wilder, and that is why Dr. Frederick Frankenstein is my number 4 pick.
You're convinced that the thing on this table isn't human?
Its cries are human.
Do you know what it is, what I began with?
No.
An animal. Well, we may as well discuss this frankly, now that you know the facts. I wanted to prove how completely she was a woman.
At my number 3 is Dr. Moreau, played by Charles Laughton in The Island of Lost Souls. This 1932 horror film was directed by Earl C. Kenton, and it's about an obsessed scientist who conducts profane experiments to evolve people into half human, half animal abomination races. I mean, that is without a doubt one of probably the greatest and probably most memorable ingenious ploys by a mad scientist next to bringing dead tissue back to life. I mean, it is without a doubt a scary thought by tampering with the powers of God, if you will. And Lawton's performance as Dr. Moreau is certainly probably one of the best incarnations of that character. And it's been done before and remade countless times, and let's not even go there with the Marlon Brando version, but without a doubt, if you want to see a superior version of The Island of Dr. Moreau, you want to see Island of Lost Souls. At number 3, I'm a cult horror fanatic. If you know me, you would know that. But for those of you who don't know me, I love cult horror movies, and I would feel violated if I didn't put Jeffrey Combs as Herbert West from The Re-Animator.
Blasphemy? Before what God? A God repulsed by the miserable humanity he created in his own image? I will not be shackled by the failures of your God. The only blasphemy is to wallow in insignificance. I have taken refuge in your God's failures, and I have triumphed.
Re-Animator is, one of H.P. Lovecraft's greatest creations, and is just one of those movies that if you haven't seen, I feel sorry for you, because it is one of those movies that it has to be seen next to The Evil Dead. Herbert West creates a serum to bring dead tissue back to life, and when a new odd student arrives on campus, things turn for the worse. There was a recent off-Broadway musical based on the movie, and I saw some clips of it, and it's very humorous. That's something I would like to see one day. But the Re-Animator, the first Re-Animator, is the best in the entire H.P. Lovecraft canon, and it's definitely a movie you just can't miss out on. I know I keep saying it for a lot of these movies, but Re-Animator is probably the one you have to see. And finally, at my number 1 pick, I'm a fan of Universal Monsters, and I know that I wasn't going to put Dr. Frankenstein on here, which is good because I put Jack Griffin, aka the Invisible Man, on this list.
All right, you fools. You've brought it on yourselves. Everything would have come right if you'd only left me alone. You've driven me near madness with your peering through the keyholes and gaping through the curtains, and now you'll suffer for it. You're crazy to know who I am, aren't you? All right, I'll show you. There's a souvenir for you. And one for you. I'll show you who I am and what I am.
Claude Rains has been a fair friend to the Universal Monster series. He was in The Wolfman. He was in one of the Frankenstein films, and he appears as the Phantom in The Phantom of the Opera. But I think his most memorable role, and I think his first Universal Monster role, was The Invisible Man, a mad scientist who tries to come up with the invisible formula and succeeds in creating it, yet it drives him mad with power. And really, a lot of these mad scientists, that's what their drive is. They want power, some sort of power. They want to appear as godlike. And if anything, Jack Griffin is the perfect embodiment of the mad scientist figure. Even though you can't see him, he is there, and he is one that you don't want to cross, because he can be anywhere at any time. For more of my reviews and my articles, you can visit my website at thatmovieswelovewebsite.wordpress.com. You can follow me on Twitter at AAPROD, Prod. Prod is short for Productions. Thank you for listening to this episode of Movie Phone Call, and see you at the movies.